Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely pumped to have you here today because, wow, we are diving into one of the absolute best storylines of the entire 2026 World Cup so far. We're talking about that breathtaking round of 32 clash between the Netherlands and Morocco down in Monterrey, Mexico. And let me tell you, this wasn't just your standard football match, it was a tactical puzzle, it was an emotional roller coaster, and a gripping penalty shootout all wrapped into one incredible package. Let's just get right into it. So to really understand this game, we gotta look at a quote that perfectly sets the stage. What happens when your system builds the player and somebody else gets to keep him? This hits the nail on the head. This whole matchup was so much more than a physical battle on the pitch. It was this deep, complex psychological war involving shared footballing DNA. I mean, think about it. When the Dutch players looked across the field, they weren't seeing strangers. They were looking at guys who learned to play the exact same brand of the beautiful game that they did. It's a completely unique dynamic. On one side, you have the Netherlands, literally the inventors of this famed possession-based system. On the other side, you have Morocco, who in this context are kind of the apprentices. But here is the crazy twist. Key Moroccan stars rocking that red and green kit, we're talking about guys like Sofiane Amrabat and Noussair Mazraoui. They were actually born, raised, and trained right there in the Netherlands. They came up through that famed Dutch academy system like Ajax. So they know the Dutch tactics from the inside out, because, well, for a huge chunk of their lives, it was their footballing identity too. Okay, so what actually is that famed Dutch style? It's all built on patience, high-stepping fullbacks pushing way up the pitch, endless midfield rotations, and those intricate passing triangles. The whole point is to make the opponent chase the ball until a gap finally opens up. But here's why this is absolutely crucial. Morocco didn't have to guess what the Dutch game plan was going to be. They literally lived it every single week playing in the Eredivisie. Since they understood the rhythm so perfectly, they basically turned that famous Dutch possession into a trap. They just waited for the exact moment the Dutch pushed a little too high, and boom, launched their counterattacks. Now, before we get too deep into the tactics, we absolutely have to talk about the environment. 100. That was the blistering heat index down on the pitch in Monterrey. Even though the actual kickoff temperature was hovering around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, you had zero airflow inside that stadium, plus moderate humidity, making it literally feel like 100 degrees. It was suffocating. And honestly, this exhausting factor heavily favored the Atlas Lions. They are just way more accustomed to performing under those grueling weather conditions than the European side. Moving right along into Section 1, a tense knockout clash. The drama seriously peaked in this wildly tight window in the second half. For 70 minutes, Morocco is just completely frustrating the Dutch, neutralizing their possession. So manager Ronald Koeman has to make a move. In the 71st minute, he brings on the physical presence of Wout Weghorst. And the impact? Instantaneous. Literally 1 minute later, Weghorst wins an aerial duel, the ball drops to Crescencio Somerville, he squares it across, and Cody Gakpo scores. The Netherlands absolutely think they've won the whole thing. But then, in the first minute of stoppage time, 90+1, Morocco's Chemstein Talbi swings in this desperate cross, and Issa Diop rises up to glance a shocking header right past the keeper to equalize. Just unbelievable. Before we talk about extra time, we really need to pause for a second and reflect on the immense, heavy weight of Gakpo's goal. Just days prior to this match, Cody Gakpo and his partner suffered the tragic loss of their unborn son. He had been given time off to be with his family and then bravely returned to the squad for this knockout stage. So when he scored, he just sank to the turf, completely overcome with emotion, and his teammates surrounded him in this long, supportive embrace. It was just a profoundly human moment, right in the middle of a fierce sporting contest. But, of course, that emotion was eventually met with pure Moroccan resilience. And you know, Issa Diop's 91st minute equalizer wasn't just a lifeline for his team. It actually highlighted a massive statistical trend. Get this, that goal was the 25th stoppage time goal of this tournament. 25. It just proves that this 2026 World Cup is being entirely defined by late, heart-stopping drama. Literally no lead is safe until that final whistle blows. All right, let's get right into Section 2, extra time and penalty chaos. So we get into extra time, and exhaustion has truly set in for everyone. But the goalkeepers, they refuse to blink. In the 96th minute, Morocco's Soufiane Brahimi breaks through on goal. I mean, it looked like a guaranteed winner. But Dutch goalkeeper Bart Verbruggen miraculously keeps his team alive, pulling off this absolutely stunning, point-blank full starfish save. He somehow gets his thigh to the ball and deflects it away. A total jaw-dropping moment of athleticism that officially forced the game into the ultimate lottery, penalty kicks. And man, what a lottery it was. If you were looking for a masterclass in clinical finishing, this was not it. This was spectacularly messy. The woodwork took an absolute battering out there. First, Morocco's Neil El-Naoui leans back and just smashes the crossbar. Then Justin Kluivert for the Netherlands steps up and hits the post. Quentin Timber takes his first ever professional shootout attempt and misses the target entirely. Even Paris Saint-Germain's superstar Achraf Hakimi hit the post. It was like all that professional composure we expect at this level just completely evaporated under the pressure. As this crazy shootout dragged on, there was this fascinating piece of history looming over the Dutch side. 0 for 4. Yep, the Netherlands are now 0 for 4 in World Cup penalty shootouts when they do not substitute their goalkeeper beforehand. Historically, they've literally only won a World Cup shootout when they specifically brought on a different keeper just for the penalties, like that famous move back in 2014. Here they stuck with Verbruggen, and unfortunately for them, the curse continued. The climax of all this chaos finally arrived. Moroccan goalkeeper Yassine Bounou, who, by the way, has been an absolute hero in shootouts before, makes the crucial tie-breaking save against Crescenzio Somerville. That set the stage for Ismail Saibarai. Now, earlier in the match, Saibarai had been bloodied in a nasty collision and actually needed a shirt change. So stepping up in a fresh, clean shirt, he remained completely ice-cold, sent the keeper the wrong way, and slotted home the decisive winning penalty. Which brings us to our final section, the Atlas Lions advance. And really, this whole master versus apprentice narrative we talked about earlier, it completely comes full circle with our player of the match, Noussair Mazraoui. He earned a super impressive 8.0 rating. Across 120 demanding, sweltering minutes, his tireless pace and defensive discipline just totally neutralized the Dutch attacks down his flank. And remember what we said? Mazraoui is an Ajax-trained player. He literally used the exact same defensive discipline and tactical awareness taught to him by the Dutch system to brilliantly dismantle that exact same system on the world's biggest stage. It's almost poetic. So, where do we go from here? Next up for Morocco is a massive round of 16 clash against tournament co-hosts Canada down in Houston. Morocco has now survived back-to-back World Cup penalty shootouts, proving they have nerves of absolute steel. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. Armed with tactical brilliance, immense resilience, and the crazy ability to turn their opponent's own systems against them, just how far can this battle-tested Moroccan team go? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely can't wait to see how the rest of this tournament unfolds. See you next time.